Hey folks, down here in southern Arizona, end of December, and I just kind of wanted to go through a little bit of how I choose where I'm going to place my tent when I'm down here camping. I'm down here again, southern Arizona, going to be doing some archery deer, and then in a couple of days it'll be the new year and be able to do deer and javelina hunting. But anyway, I'm going to be setting up my Kodiak 10x10 tent, and as you can see here, I've got just so happens to be 4 mesquite trees in a pretty good little flat area. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck my tent right in this spot here with the opening to that flat open area. There isn't even any grass there, just some rocks I need to move out of the way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to prep the site and I'm going to set my tent up. Okay, I got the site prepped, removed a bunch of rocks, and I put down this tarp, not because I think it's going to rain, but rather I just wanted a little bit of protection from the bottom of the tent. Again, not that it really needs it, but if it were going to rain, I probably wouldn't use the tent. I've used it before with the tent and the tarp, and I've actually had water kind of sit under there, so when I'm ready to leave, the bottom of my tent is still pretty wet. So again, if it were any kind of weather, but unfortunately it does not look like we're going to get anything even close to weather here this time around, I would not have the tarp on here. So anyway, I'm just going to set this up now for you. Okay, what I was looking for is my awning, which is on this side. Getting them out here winter camping. So honestly, I'm not too awful worried about the shade. So I'm actually going to have my awning facing kind of west, southwest. And I'm going to be walking out this way. And the one thing that awning will give you when it's facing this way, I do that in case there is some weather, then that awning's just draped down, gives it a little bit more of a runoff, because I run that Stormfly Rainfly from Springbar, and that is how I get my awning on the side that I'm walking in and out of. So I'm just going to move this around. So okay, I've got my pole bag now, my stakes, and a hammer. Now, I've got 2 vertical poles that will go into the T-poles on the top. This is one of those. You can see that's going to be facing down, so that'll go into that vertical pole. And then the other very important thing is this is a stop right here. You want to make sure that is facing up. This thing turns any which way, not a big deal to get it facing up. Just something you want to be aware of. Got 4 tension rods. One side has a rubber end, so those are going to go on the outside. Here's the other side. My T-pole which will have some tension to it. Okay, we're going to run these through with the rubber side. And this pole has holes that go all the way through it. So when you stick these rods in there, you will be able to see those. That's when you know it's in far enough. You don't want it barely in there, barely showing. You want that up against the end. That's very important. Now, this is where you got to get your tension in here. Again, there's my stopper. So, I want that facing up. You can see the screw here, and it has an end that's going to meet it and allow that to stretch. And you want to hold on to this pretty tight. You don't want this thing bouncing out of your hands. Pop that down. Got this facing up, and then there's a bar that just slides right across there, which will lock it into place. And now it's popped past that point. There's a pin in there, and now I've got this again on the top. That's as far as that'll allow that to go. Very important also. Now the next step, if we were putting on our Rainfly, this is when we would want to do that, before we have anything standing up. So I'll go ahead and throw that on just to show you guys again how to do that. Okay, I've shown other videos putting this Rainfly on. Comes with it with its own stakes, so I keep a few of those. But the part that I want to show you, the whole key to it, is doesn't matter which side, they're both the same. But the important part is you can see this zippered section right here. This zippers onto that tension bar pole system across the top. So this is what you have to line up in the center. Just kind of kick that back so you can zip it up. It's a very good system. I do think it's better than what Kodiak provides with their awning. I just think this thing gives you a little better shade. Definitely gives you better protection in weather because it's got basically the awning on both sides, or the rain protection on both sides. So that is definitely one thing that I like more about this system. So zipped in. Does have a couple of ties, one for each end. I generally do not tie them. I just zip and it's good. Before I put any tension on it, I just go with 4, one in each corner. Sometimes later on I'll add to it, and I like to get it into the tarp also, if I'm using the tarp like I am this time. And you can get these too tight, but you definitely want them to be in pretty good shape in order to stand them up. Usually leave a little gap. That way there's some play if I need to adjust, do something more. Okay, 4 corners staked. Kind of stand that up. Hook it into that bottom of the T, and you just stand it up. Vertical like that. Now, do the same thing on this side. You do have to walk on these tents a little bit occasionally. As you can see, that grabbed. Now, do want that a little better. You can see I'm just kind of pushing and pulling that. Now, there it goes. Generally not had that issue before. Put the pole into that outlet. And then you can see there's a spot for the tent stake. Just like that. Okay. Now, next, this side of the spring bar, I will just drop right down. Put that in with stakes, get that secure. Okay, I thought I'd move this so you can get a little better view of what I'm doing here next. So I'm going to use the awning poles that came with the Kodiak. Now again, this isn't as long, no doubt about it. And I've done this before. I was hoping I would make it to that tree. Done this before where I've had the awning and the Rainfly. I've got a video of that as well. So if you want to go back and look at that, you can see what that looks like. Here, then we just hook that clamp in there. And I know that'll work. Okay. Now we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, setting up the inside of the tent now. And what I put down first is I have a 9 by 12 painter's canvas. Fits in there pretty well, as you can see. And what I do is I wrap up the extra couple of feet along this side. That's where my cot ends up. And then I make sure that this side, where I'm going to be entering and exiting, is flush up against the side of the tent. And you can see a little gap there on the back side, which I don't ever go in and out that door. So not a concern for me. And then the other thing is I've got just a little green carpet here, outdoor carpet, so I can set up a chair and I can take my boots off before I go into the tent.